I don't know when I think about this game, I'm just like, okay, so there are a lot of like, if I were to write something about it, you know, I'm a bit like, okay, well, yep, you know, as we all know, like there's these small issues that constantly get in the way of having a very smooth game experience. Um,
Yeah.
and those small issues are actually it's really like I think
Uh,
it's telling that at the time like a lot of people didn't pick up on these small issues because I think that they're you know, dealing with well, for one, there's a lot of them, and for two, they're usually quite embedded in the game, if you know what I mean. Like it's not like stuff that most people ever pick out, like a bad level or something like
yeah.
that. And so
A
I
lot
think
of
it
people
really
don't pick
takes
up
that.
things like a lot of people don't pick up things like not so great camera unless it's something like Metal Gear Rising where that camera uh, really loses its mind, or
Yeah,
things like just the stun lock, or either the stun lock being too long when you, or sorry, the block stun, or when your guard is broken, that it can just be a little bit too long. Some of it is just like tuning, where just enemies just do way too much damage. And in some ways, I kind of don't like even like fiction wise, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, cause one time I got killed by a bunch of dogs, and I'm like, how'd a bunch of dogs kill me so fast? I'm clad in armor. They should be breaking their teeth.
yeah,
But it and yeah, but I still would
yeah,
say that
yeah.
I don't really think they're minor issues. They may seem minor, and it's kind of one of those things that people go, well, I didn't have a problem with that. It's like, well, one, you either didn't notice, or two, saying you didn't have a problem with it doesn't mean you actually didn't. It just means you didn't care, or you were willing to deal with it.
Yeah. It's I
Like,
mean like
I don't
I really
like some people
um,
may be more tolerant of a boss killing them in two hits, especially when you're blocking. Like, oh, well, that's just part of the like. They'll just say like that's just part of the game. That's just what you have to deal with. And I'm like, no, or I think, well, if you think about it, I don't really see the positives of that because when I think of the alternatives, like if the boss didn't kill you in five hits, if blocking actually blocked and not, you know, get me stuck in this block stun where I'd lose like 50% of my health anyway, as if I'd never blocked in the first place. I mean, there's so much more positives to the opposite or the alternative that I can think of versus what they actually have in the game. This
yeah.
interface is really bad. I don't like it. It and people may think, well, I didn't have a problem with it. It's like, well, that doesn't change how clunky it is. Like, and the fact that there's a lot of items, there's no way to sort your weapons. You can't even like easily compare which weapons. Like, I can't even go to this one, look at this sword, and just do equip. Like, I can't do that from this menu right here. So there's a bunch of
Yeah.
interface issues. I think some of the like the RPG stuff kind of gets in the way too, which tends
Oh,
to
I was just
be
talking
a
about
common
before,
problem.
like about the stat system, which isn't always apparent. Um, yeah, I mean, because there's
Yeah,
like a whole like micro system, like a separate system there that is separate from actually, you know,
yeah,
playing skillfully. That
and
in many cases requires some player to be good at, and some people say that you can, that if you're not very good, then you just grind up a few levels and you'll be okay. And if you want a harder challenge, then just go through without that grinding. But I think it's more complicated than that because a few simple bits of information can really change the outcome of how someone plays. Um,
yeah.
yeah, and
I mean,
like if I were to focus on anything, like if I were to write something, which I probably won't anyway, I might do a blog post with some dot points. But um, what I would say is what I would focus on is primarily the educational aspect, where I mean, for me, like at the start of the game, with 1-1, I spent a long time there, like 4 or 5 hours
yeah, me
testing,
too. Like
you
that
know,
dragon part, that was so confusing.
yeah, and what you'll find, yeah, I'm not going to talk about on the end game much, but yeah, it's. I think it provides an interesting counterpoint to that. And but once you know what the basic system is, then like you can just breeze through it, I think. Um,
Yeah, I
and
think.
kind of like Starseed Pilgrim, which which we did that project on. Well, uh, a few of us did
Yeah,
that project on a while ago, where it's
I
kind of
remember.
like it doesn't tell you a bunch of stuff right at the start, and people kind of say, "Oh, yeah, but it's trying to be mysterious and all that," but it can still do that and provide a very clear experience. And I think that's kind of what's happened with the Demon Souls series, where it's like you kind of have these people that are like, "Oh, yeah, it's really hard," and that's just what
No,
you do,
it's not.
like, and but it's actually like it's not just hard. It's like it's also stupid and unfair at times,
Yeah,
and so I mean, this division between players who can put up with it and players who can't is also kind of annoying as well. But
yeah. I heard Soup.
in saying all this, I think it's also very telling that we still really like the game.
Oh, yeah, I like it. I mean, it definitely has its flaw. I'm not gonna rate it Game of the Year or anything. Um, it's. I mean, uh, I don't know. I'm just a sucker for these types of games, so that's kind of my bias. Like, I like action games, especially, ones like this, because I don't get many other action games, especially not ones played this down to earth,
Mm,
like this one.
yeah,
I mean, I kind of would like it if they had more of the kind of enemies that you would find in Zelda,
yeah,
uh, but they don't, so whatever. The variety is what it is. So, yeah,
yeah. I
that's my
think so too.
thoughts. Um,
I think uh, I
there's
think
a couple things.
the other element is like the setting and the unique online environment and some of the clever bosses, which kind of remind me of Metal Gear Solid 3 or something like that, especially on the Monk. But I think they're really great as well, and it's got some really good little innovations like that. So it's easy to see why it became like kind of like a cult hit at the time before it opened up
Yeah.
with the what is it, the Dark Souls series. I keep saying
I mean,
Dead
to
Souls,
me,
but that's the Yakuza Dead Souls.
yeah. I mean, to me, I don't think it's surprising this game became a cult hit as flawed as it was because, to be quite frank, I don't think Zelda 2 is a good game, but apparently people think it's super underrated, and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
it was actually rated appropriately. I don't like such a humongous problem with because it's that game also has like a fine-tuning issue, and it's like to your very core mechanic, and it's that Link's sword is just way too small, and there's
Yeah.
a fidelity issue because his sword is small, and you're looking at tiny sprites that are like not even 10% of the screen, and
Yeah.
that impacts the whole game. And yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
but
and the gameplay really is confined to uh, as high as Link can jump, and then just horizontally from there. But you've got all that sky area and whatnot, which is just nothing unless every now and then there might be some platforms or stairs.
yeah. So anyways, that was just me explaining why I'm not surprised this became a cult hit despite its issues. I mean, even Metal Gear Rising, I think a lot of people like that game in spite of its very obvious camera issue, because that was a super cool game. But,
Well,
oh
actually,
yeah,
that's one that's on my list that um, so tomorrow on my birthday. So my brother's he's had the PS3 for a few years, and I borrowed it off of him so that I can get through some games, and that's one of the ones that he's probably going to bring down, and I might play after I finish Ninja Gaiden Sigma, which is what I'm going to do next. So
okay.
yeah, so can you
I
tell me a
wrote
bit more
two.
about what you think about Rising in comparison to Demon Souls?
Okay. Yeah, sure thing. Metal Gear Rising, actually, I just maybe want to get through. Hang on, let me write that down. Metal Gear Rising compare. Okay, first I want to just get through what Soup and Greg said. I think Greg put it a
Sure.
great way where it's like this game is simple, but it's not simple to learn. Or yeah, because the old monk, like you really like that boss, but yeah, here's what it was. It was that yeah, it's easy to play, but it's not easy to learn. I think that's the way Greg put it, and that's because of the fact of things like enemies killing you in 2 hits. You need to be able to block these enemies so that you can learn the timing to attacks before you can start rolling through them. But because of the fact you have bosses that do damage to you when you're blocking anyways, it's like, well, okay, that means like you're almost guaranteed a few deaths before you can like roll through them. And then the fact that you have to do the whole level over again. So when you're doing that level over again, you're already forgetting what some of his moves are and what those timings are because it's not falling into your long-term memory yet because you can only see it like once or twice and then
That's right. Yeah.
yeah. And what Soup said, all right, it was when I was fighting the spider. I think Soup also like made out this game to be fairly hard, and at the time I thought this game was like really simple. Because I mean it is. I mean you block, you attack, you dodge, and there you go. That's your combat right there. But
Yeah.
the thing is that I think people confuse like a game being hard with a game being easy to die. Like Ninja Gaiden. Like it's really easy to die in Ninja Gaiden. I'm talking about the NES one. It's really easy to die in that game
Yeah.
because they litter it with so many bottomless pits in a game where you have knockback when enemy hits you. So even though you have like a 16 unit health bar where you can take 16 hits before you die, most of the time you'll die in one
Yeah.
hit because of bottomless pits. But otherwise the game, not that hard. And the later levels, it gets hard, but for the wrong reasons. And it's because of the fact it gets very inconsistent because it has everything to do with how the way enemies spawn, and that's such a like meta level of trying to play to the game that it's not like it's not. I don't think it's very intuitive. It's like I need to jump this far so they spawn in this exact way that I know how to deal with, and it's like, what is that?
Yeah.
Or where there are certain jumps where this is how I actually have to play Ninja Gaiden in order to get through it consistently. It's like I have to jump in such a way because enemies they walk like a Koopa. They go back and forth, but they do it off the edge of the screen where the camera is. So what I do is I scroll the camera while they're walking towards the edge so that they keep moving in that direction so that I actually have enough room to land on the ground. And that's another example of like playing to this very weird, nuanced aspect of the game that I don't think it was a good idea to go for, or to even leave it in the game.
Yeah. Because I mean, really, what you're doing is you're just playing around with this meta system that is so separate from what the game appears to be, which is moving, dodging, and attacking through 2D space. And so it's like, yeah, it's like this whole other game, and it's like, yeah, I hate it when games do that, when they have this system in the background that where what you're doing and what it looks like you're doing on the screen are like two completely different things. Yeah.
Yeah. So for Metal Gear Rising,
Yeah.
yeah, I like that game. I like the parry system that one has, which oh shit, there I go trying to do an example, but this game. So Metal Gear Rising is definitely faster paced. It allows you to be more aggressive thanks to parrying. You know what? This stamina thing here is definitely plays a part in why I have to play a lot more conservatively. Because even just doing this, like if I do this too much, I get this moment where I can't do anything. I have to back off. I have to back off. And the thing is, like a lot of enemies, they do a lot to your stamina when you block them. So I kind of have to wait for that whole thing to recharge. And I have to keep looking at that top left corner of the screen because enemies do different amount to the stamina there. So often I have to take my eyes off the action. I mean, it's a little quickly. I just think it would help if that was more closer to where my character is, like near the bottom of the screen, or the way Azure Striker Gunvolt does it, where, because he has stamina too. It's called Septima, but whatever. He has stamina too, but the meter is like this little radial meter that appears under his character when you use it, so it's very clear, you know, like when you're running out, and it even changes color to like red when you're getting low on energy. So, you know, that's okay. I ended up comparing a completely different game. I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
yeah, Metal Gear Rising.
Yeah, well, actually, on that stamina bar, I was talking about it with Jonathan, like a few months ago, and I am, I think that there is a slight sound effect, but it's very slight, and
Uh,
um,
there is. Let me
what
try.
I think there might be.
I don't hear anything.
Oh yeah, I think okay. So I remember hearing at one point the heartbeat sound.
Oh, that's the heartbeat. The heartbeat sound that's actually because of bleed.
Oh, is it?
That happened to me in the beginning of the game where I inflicted bleed on an enemy and then he died for no reason. I'm like, what just happened? Because I heard the heartbeat noise and I'm like, did he have a heart attack? Uh, but yeah, no, that heartbeat noise isn't because of stamina. It's because you inflict something called a bleed status.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. So okay, well it's not that then. Yeah. So I think yeah. I mean, it totally diverts your attention away, which just exacerbates. So it just distracts you from enemies which are already quite difficult and that are already like quite high risk situations. Anyway, yeah. So Metal Gear Rising. Um, I mean, because part of my thinking is it's a platinum game, and I'm a big fan of platinum. And I
Yes.
loved Vanquish. I really love Vanquish,
Oh yeah,
and I
Vanquish
love
is so good.
and like even like years ago when I was a teenager, reading some of the Nintendo magazines and hearing about like the Capcom 5, and then like learning the names of the developers and being like, oh, they're awesome. Looking up their old games like Mikami, Inaba, folks like that, and being like real super fans. Uh, being a real super fan of their work, and yeah, so I'm catching up on some platinum stuff as well. Um, so what I learned from Vanquish and from their other games as well is that generally speaking, um, Platinum seems to be quite good at clean design, conveying information, balancing balancing mechanics with the with the character action genre. But I don't think that they're as good as like Nintendo. I think there are still some areas that are a bit unclear or that aren't as good. Um,
Yeah.
Generally speaking, in regards to Metal Gear Solid Rising, what are your thoughts on those things like
Okay.
clarity, balance, communication?
Metal Gear Rising. Okay, so this gives me something specific as far as clarity goes. Metal Gear Rising definitely did falter on that. Like, what it does with the
Okay.
camera is it almost has it right. It does what Zelda does, where it creates this diagonal line between you and the enemy.
Hmm.
The problem is that whereas Zelda, you know, it breaks it down into relative 2D space.
Yeah.
Normally, you can go past the enemy, and basically, instead of Link being, you know, close to the screen, instead it's going to be like the Stalfos or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Metal Gear Rising, they didn't make it like that. So what happens is that the camera will spin very oddly and very fast, and that is really disorienting. The
Uh,
other thing is that instead of making, you know, left go left and right go right, they have it so that you go around them in a circle, which I guess it's fine, but they should have just kept it simple and made it so that, you know, kept it like the way they did it in Zelda, where it's actual relative 2D space. My left and right though doesn't all of a sudden turn into two-dimensional movement where I'm moving in a circle if I just hold it in one direction.
yeah.
Um, there are a few enemies that were not very well designed with that camera in mind, because that camera also does the thing that I don't like, where when an enemy is above you, it tilts up, But the problem is they can jump so high that the camera will go into the ground or looks up the character's butt, and they don't become transparent, so you still can't see them anyways.
Yeah.
And it that becomes really, and not only that, the sky, like the sky isn't a good way to judge. Like I don't think people understand just how much more clear it is having a ground for which to judge distance, because the sky makes that a lot harder. So even if you have that diagonal line in the air, it's still the air. There's no like,
Yeah, there's still verticality, and there's a lack of shadows,
yeah,
and reference points as well.
yeah. And then you get the added issue that the camera isn't doing your character any favors either by being so close to him. I think the Metal Gear Rising camera may also just be a little bit too close. Like it's kind of at the, actually I think it might actually be a little closer than what it is with Demon Souls right now. Like even though I'm in this wide open space, this camera's fairly close. Like I don't think there's, okay, actually if you run forward a bit, it sort of lerps behind them. So yeah, this is what like the camera would default to in like a Zelda, where he's taking up like maybe like 18% of the screen's height. But in Metal Gear Rising, it is way closer. And that has a problem when you're fighting several enemies at the same time, especially in like a cramped sewer level and with enemies that jump around, which means they can very easily go out of your view.
Yeah.
The two enemies that come to mind are the Mastiffs and the Geckos, because they jump. So what happens when you have an enemy that jumps out of screen? It means you have no idea where they're coming from. So even if you have that audio cue, if you don't know where they're coming from, well, how do you know which direction to parry? Because in order to parry, you have to push the direction and square at the same time with where the enemy is. So that becomes an issue.
Yeah, I see.
Alright, I think there's only one more thing about Metal Gear Rising. I think it's the hammer dudes, the way that they have like moves that you can't avoid, but they'll like spin around you. Basically, it's kind of hard to get away from them because they don't actually like swing straight. They'll do this. They'll be going forward. Hang on, I didn't do it right. They'll be going forward and then they'll just turn around. And it's like, well shit, if you can basically have your hammer go anywhere around you in a circle, then how am I supposed to get away from this? And yeah, usually the strategy is to dash away, but it means that you can't just jump over them, or you can't just, move out of the way. I think those are the only enemies that did that, though. I might be remembering incorrectly, though, or I just sucked against that particular enemy. So yeah,
Okay.
there was
What about yeah?
You go.
What about other areas of the game?
other areas of the game.
Actually, when you were describing on the camera and whatnot, I'm like, yeah, okay, that sounds a bit unfamiliar of Ninja Gaiden and games like that as well. Fast-paced character action games, yeah. Yeah, but what about other things? Well,
Well, in Metal Gear Rising, you don't have a dodge. You can get one, but you don't start off with one. So they really incentivize you to use the parry and the Zandatsu, which I think is really cool. That's just another system that I really like that forces you to play aggressive, because what you do is if you do a Zandatsu and you hit them where the little square is, where their cores are, what Raiden does is he grabs their core, crushes it, and then he regains full health. So that's another reason that I really like that game, is that every enemy is a full heal health drop. If you're good at the game and you use this on Datsu, so obviously you don't do it recklessly. And yeah, I really liked it. And I think Bloodborne was doing something similar, because I saw where Richard would hit an enemy and he would regain his health after it already hit him. So it's a way to keep you on the offensive, so you don't have to run away and heal.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting. I like that. It's a neat way of making it so that you don't have to use med kits or random health drops or things like that. It's not better, but it is different, and but it's different in a way that I like it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, yeah, I look forward to playing that. I've had Ninja Gaiden on my playlist for like years, so I'm gonna get onto that one next. So,
Right.
well, I'm already on it actually. I've done the first chapter or so, and it seems good. Um, but yeah, anyway, I gotta. Actually, what is the time? See, 12:30. Oh god. Okay, so
Right.
I gotta have lunch, and then I gotta
Yeah.
finish
I guess I
what I'm
guess there
doing,
was one
and then
last thing to say about Metal Gear Rising is that you may find that problem that it has with other Platinum games like Vanquish is that they can kind of run out of ideas.
yeah,
Where yeah, like I know with Vanquish once they started like reusing two bosses, I'm like you're running out of stuff to throw at me, aren't you? And
yeah,
yeah, they'll still have
yeah,
cool set pieces, but you can tell like in the latter portions of the game that you know they were definitely limited in how many assets they could make. Still
yeah,
make some rock solid combat systems though. I like them. I like them.
yeah. I'm a big fan. I haven't played Bayonetta yet, but I'll probably get onto that one at some point.
Yeah,
In
I'll
any
give
case,
that
like,
a try too.
um,
Oh, Bayonet is very good.
okay, cool. Yeah, I'll probably eventually when I get a Wii U or maybe an NX, um, I'll I'll pick up the um, Bayonetta 2 and Bayonetta 1 in the same package and just play through them in that way. So,
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah. If
Uh,
there's anything else you want to know about Metal Gear Rising, uh, just feel free to ask. It's easier for me to like write it out rather than talking on the spot.
sure. Yeah, I'll probably get a few ideas. I mean, I guess Ninja Gaiden will give me a few ideas about character action in general, um, and then I'll move on to onto that. So onto Rising. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, I better head off and get some lunch. Yeah. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. It's really good playing Demon Souls with you, Adrian.
You too.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just really PO'd about that New Game Plus. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, New Game Plus seems to do difficulty in the way that I don't like it, and that is just make them all hit harder and take longer to die. I'm
Yeah.
more of a fan of what Ranger X does.
Oh, yep. All right. Well, I'll see you guys later. Have a good one. And if I can, I'll try and jump in on the Rizoma or attend another meeting. Usually, for this upcoming semester, Thursday and Friday, which may be different times in the US. But Thursday and Friday, I don't have class, and I got class from Monday up to Wednesday. And weekends I'm pretty busy. So if I can, I'll try and do something on Thursday or
Okay,
Friday. So, but otherwise, yeah. Still,
sure.
I don't know how busy it's going to be, and then I got my second placement. So, anyway, yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Nice
All right,
hanging out.
see ya.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Ooh, how long was that? That was nearly 3 hours. Damn.
3 hours or 2 hours?
Wait, did I? Oh, no, 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 that's 2 hours. Yeah, I said I would start at 9:15. It's almost 11:15. So yeah, I kind of want to save Demon Souls for Daniel.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, so let me start. Actually, let me just go back to the Nexus, and I'll save the game.
I mean, part of the reason I wasn't being very good about showing up for Demon Souls was I haven't played it, so I didn't think I'd have much to offer, but, you know.
That's all right. I mean, if you just want to like know what you do in the game or whatever, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm still confused about the whole dying twice deal.
Oh yeah, it's just basically. Hang on, actually, let me get back my souls. So yeah, you die, you lose a piece of your health, and you turn into a soul. If you go back to the spot you died, you can get back all your souls, which is basically how you level up, buy things, and upgrade your equipment in this game.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of like Castlevania 2. You might die, you have infinite continues, but you lose all your hearts that you need for progressing or leveling up in this case. And yeah, that's about it. I mean, that's what that is. In order to become human, you either have to beat a boss, or help someone else beat a boss,
Oh.
or invade someone, kill them, and then you can go back to being human.
Oh my God. So that's what the dickery is with co-op mode, isn't it?
Yeah, is that one of us needs to be human, the other one needs to be in soul, and sometimes we forget who has to summon who, and yeah. But otherwise, it's simple enough, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Oh right, you have other requirements. Like one, we need to have the same version of the game. Thankfully, both of us have the US version.
Oh wow, really?
And we need to be in the same level range. So thank God Daniel was in the level 60s while I was
Jeez.
in like level 54. Otherwise, this would not have worked.
I didn't even know this was. Oh wait, yeah. You know what? Come to think of it, because I have heard. I do remember, like back in 2010 and 2011, Atlas kept saying, "Okay, we're extending the Demon Soul service for another 6 months, and then they'll be gone forever." And then 6 months later, okay, another 6 months, and that'll be gone forever. And then they just did so much that they ended up able to have it up forever.
Thank God.
I know.
That allows me to keep playing co-op. I still wish, that's something they need to do with the next console. Not this social media bullshit, but make it so that a console is powerful enough to be like its own server. That way we don't have to have a company run server. We can just say, hey, are you online? Yeah, I'm online. All right, let's play it. Boom, there you go.
That'd be something.
Yeah, that would be something. Instead of 8 gigabytes of RAM wasted on Twitch streaming or whatever. I'm sorry, but when I learned that like the PlayStation 4 has that much RAM, but because operating servers also use RAM, that means like how much of that is going to their, social media dickery and streaming dickery, or being able to jump in someone's game and like say, hey, watch out, like they had in that presentation, is like how much of that is using, its power.
Oh, that's true.
I mean, the Wii U, it has that too, but apparently it's not a lot because it was built with it in mind. Even though it's way more limited, but still.
You mean the RAM or like social media stuff?
Oh, I mean like the RAM of the Wii U has like, what, 2 gigabytes of RAM, but only, one of it is used on the OS? But that's also because, like, something about it having like a completely different architecture.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
something like x86 architecture or something.
I'm not too familiar with specs, so
Yeah, me neither. I'm probably driving someone who actually knows this stuff crazy right now with me spouting about nonsense I don't really know about.
like they can sense you being a jerk about specs or something.
Yeah, or someone who I might watch this video, God knows whenever, and then they'll be like, "No, you idiot!
How?
That's not how it works."
I'm gonna overclock your face.
Yeah. Still, that's still just something about online that I wish, wasn't a thing. Like, you can download, like, it needs to work like download play. Like, I have a copy of Mario Kart, you have a DS, let's play. There you go. Or does it still use a server? I don't know.
Download play? That's just ready to go as far as I know.
Okay, good. So, that's what I want it to be for newer consoles to have, so that online isn't restricted to servers. So I don't have to wonder where the hell's Brawl Busters. Like, oh, they shut down the servers. Nobody can play this game anymore. It's like, fuck. I'm so mad. That game, I liked that game.
Brawl Busters?
Yeah. It's like this Korean free-to-play action game that I saw on Steam. And it's like, oh, it's free, I'm going to play it. It's like, oh, wow, this game's actually kind of fun. But then, like, I don't know when. I think it was like 2013. It's like they shut down. It's like shit,
Dang it.
shit. Why do these things shut down?
I don't know. I wish they wouldn't either.
And apparently they were supposed to have a new game that hasn't had any new, like they announced it like a year, maybe 2 years ago, and there's been nothing about it. So
That's
I don't know, maybe they're,
promising.
yeah.
Oh, the big marathon, speed marathons next week.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it starts on a Sunday and goes on till Saturday.
I might be. What games are they gonna have?
Tons. Hold on, I can get the schedule here.